Hello, this is Eileen, the environmental educator. And in this video, we're going to talk about something that happened last week, and it's kind of sad, but there's a lot of health risks for the Ohioans after that train derailment with toxic chemicals. And that's the fire from the derailment. But, the people were evacuated. It says that safety questions still remain. We'll get into it about the water, but animals are falling sick and dying near the hellish, they call it, train derailment site. This was obviously covered a bunch of places, and a fox dies in the owner arms. And right here, residents they weren't allowed to at that point in time be back in their homes. But right here, animals falling sick, dying near highly toxic Ohio train derailment site. So this Washington Post article says that it was reported that 5 of the derailed tanker cars were carrying vinyl chloride, a hazardous, odorless chemical that's mostly used in the United States in the manufacturing of plastics. That's right. Plastics are bad for you on so many levels. And the environmental educator, right, is looking to end our disposable society since November 93, and utilize hemp. And if we were utilizing hemp, we wouldn't be making plastics from oil that need all of these chemicals. When all the independent media just global warming is not real, man, and that is the only information they will give you about the environment, even though they say they're about sustainability. Dave Hodges, Alex Jones, Mike Adams the other day. I played that clip. They're about a sustainable future, but they will not give you this information. And if we had gone off of plastics, and into hemp and just ending our disposable society, we would be using so much less oil, water, and as I talk about a lot, right, the deadly chemicals that are used to create the plastics that it says, turns up in everyday items such as packaging materials. What does the environmental educator want to get rid of? Oh, that's right, from packaging and transportation packaging, but housewares, wire, and cable coatings. So this chemical is being transported to make plastics. So there is so much involved in all of this stuff. And all of these toxins and chemicals wouldn't be being used if anybody would allow solutions since November of 93. And who is that anybody? Oh, that's right. It is every environmental voice you could think of. Okay? So now, the people, they were evacuated from their homes, and they're afraid about going back. They're afraid about the water supply. So this lady, Catlin, Schwarzwelder, they live and operate a dog kennel and training business about 15 minutes from the derailment. And she said that we are going to use unbiased outside sources to go in and test our water, test our soil, test the air. She says we are not returning back there probably for a long time. Yeah, she says she will not return back until independent testing is done on her property. These chemicals are very dangerous. Okay, that that first chemical, that vinyl chloride, over long periods of time may be connected to brain cancer, lung cancers, and some cancers of the blood. And it says here that short-term exposure to high levels can cause dizziness, drowsiness, fatigue, and headaches. And that's a senior director for chemicals at the Environmental Defense Fund. The EPA says that they're monitoring two other chemicals, PHOSGENE, phosgene, and hydrogen chloride, that may be released into the air by the controlled burn. Neither of these is good news. Phosgene was used as a weapon in World War I and is a highly toxic gas that can lead to choking, chest constriction, and in the most acute exposures, possibly even death. Hydrogen chloride, which has a pungent odor, can irritate the throat, nose, and skin. And so, the citizens are concerned, the citizens who live in the area that were evacuated, they're concerned, rightfully, about even returning. And that same lady says that she got a call yesterday from a person a mile and a half away from the derailment area, and they let their 2-year-old healthy dog out to go to the bathroom, and the dog never returned inside. He was dead in the yard. And in this article here, a fox keeper whose dairy farm is located near the mandatory evacuation zone said his foxes were now exhibiting signs of illness. Out of nowhere, he said they started coughing really hard, just shut down, and he had liquid diarrhea and just went very fast. They said all of his foxes were experiencing similar symptoms, including lethargy and swollen faces and stomach issues. That is not how a fox acts. He is very weak, limp. His eyes are very watery and weepy, the farmer said. And he said that some of the foxes are pacing rapidly in their pen, which is another sign that they are not well. And this person assumes the chemicals from the derailment are to blame. Smoke and chemicals from the train, that's the only thing that can cause it, because it doesn't just happen out of nowhere. The chemicals that we're being told are safe in the air, and that's definitely not safe for the animals or people. He said people's cats are getting sick and dying, and other people's birds that they have in their house and they weren't able to evacuate. It's just not safe for them. Wildlife around the area, even as far as 10 miles away, have been exhibiting health issues and dying off. In the immediate vicinity, chickens have been found dead about 10 miles away, with residents saying they were perceived wild, weird chemical smells. Fish have also been found dead in a river near the site of the crash. And despite this, despite these health issues for animals, officials gave the all clear for residents to return to the area 5 days later. So, yeah, I don't blame that lady who said that she wouldn't go back there without independent testing. Humans are larger than animals, but if it's taking animals out in a matter of not very long, how much can a human take before they're taken out too? Okay, and here's a picture of the derailment. I mean, that is very, very ugly. But down here, it says Eric Olson, a senior strategic director at the Natural Resources Defense Council, said these accidents happen all the time, but often they just don't make the media. Unplanned releases of hazardous substance usually occur at the factories and manufacturing factories where chemicals are being made or used. But the amount of toxic chemicals released, if the amount of toxic chemicals released is large enough, it has to be reported to the EPA. But it is not often that a train derailment followed by forced evacuation brings this to the public's attention. But right, so this is getting news here today because it was a big event. But like this guy from the Natural Resources Defense Council says, right, it happens all the time. So that is why, regardless of if global warming isn't real or not, the independent media, who will not give you good environmental information, needs to start doing it, because all these toxins and chemicals that we need to make plastic, which we don't need, there's alternatives to it. Okay, we wouldn't be using these. We wouldn't be transporting them. We wouldn't be accidentally releasing them all the time, according to the Natural Resources Defense Council. So this is getting highlighted now, but this happens all the time. And that's why people, then go and buy detox products to get toxins out of your system. Okay, so now we have a whole nother industry that should never happen if we would just live responsibly. So, this is an unfortunate event, and a lot of animals are taking the heat, and humans could, start coming down with a lot of conditions, because a lot of these people, they can't afford to not be in their home, right? They're paying their mortgage, they're paying their rent, they can't afford to be at a secondary home. So they're going back, whether it's really safe or not. And could we avoid it? Yeah, we could. And what would really help get that going? Oh, I don't know. Suppose like Alex Jones, Alex Newman, Greg Hunter, Sean at the SGT Report, Lisa Haven, all, Rebel News, all of the independent media, if they would do their job. And since they don't, if Project Veritas would do their job, that would help. And how did I spend my weekend? Oh, doing a letter to Project Veritas donors telling them they need to step up to the plate to get Project Veritas to do their job. And so that'll probably be, a video this week. But, this train derailment made things be a headline. But as the NRDC says, this happens. The release of these toxic chemicals happen every day, and we don't need these toxic chemicals. And Oasis Crazy and her Green's newest disaster aren't taking them away from you either. Okay, they're just talking ridiculousness, non-solutions, and tyranny. But the environmental educator is actual real solutions that just no one will allow. And if we had done this derailment might have happened, but the consequences of all the toxins of the derailment wouldn't have. So stay tuned, people.